Hello and welcome. My name is DW and this is my little slice of the internet I like to call Dub's Beauty Diary. Today, I've got something exciting. Okay, so you know how we did the palette bingo with the Adept inspired palette? Well, I have written down everyone's shades that they got, and I'm going to do what I would do with those particular shades. And if you wanted to hear my fear of birds, we'll talk about it in this one. So I'm just gonna go, like, there's a ton of us that did this, so I'm gonna just do each eye a different creator. Yeah, okay, so let's get started. I'm gonna swatch out the color story so I know what I'm working with. Start from the bottom. Okay, the fear of birds. There's multiple stories here. It all started back in my day. No, it all started when I was 3 or 4. Me and my family went pheasant hunting, and we brought back pheasants to defeather and skin, and so that we could eat them, right? Well, we had the birds on the table, and I was so small, like I was underneath the table, like I could go under the table without crouching. So yeah, 3 or 4. And all of a sudden they were just laying on the table, and all of a sudden one gets up and starts flying directly at me. It like dive bombed me. So I ran under the table, terrified for my life. And like, if you know anything about birds, like if they don't have their head, they can still, like, even if they're dead, they still can fly around. So that was terrifying. That was my first bird experience. The next one that I can remember was when I was, I'm gonna say 7 or 8, and I was playing outside, and I was wearing my favorite shirt, which was this firefighter shirt from my town, and it had like a little Dalmatian on it. It was navy blue. It was so cute. And you know what? You know what happened? A bird, don't know what kind, don't really care. They're all the same. Got above me, and it took a massive dump on my favorite shirt. My mom laughed at me. I was sobbing. It didn't come out in the wash, so I had to get rid of my favorite shirt. I was so mad. So this is the first look, Corvette's look, or color story. I actually really like that. Okay, now let's do, here, we'll do this. Okay, so there's more. There's more. Here's the color story for this one. This is Caitlin Foreman's. I was on we call them country cruises, where you just drive around in the country, and this was in high school, and a lot of people drink or smoke, but we were just driving, we were just cruising, and I was with my best friend at the time, and she had this old Monte Carlo, like huge boat of a car, and we were down by a lake, just driving on the road, minding our own business, when all of a sudden, a great blue heron, do you know how big those birds are? Do you? Decided it was going to fly directly at my passenger window. That thing's wingspan was bigger than our car. It was so huge. I thought for sure it was coming right through my window, right at me. It ended up flying over the top, just barely. But boy, oh boy, when I say I was gonna have a heart attack, that was so terrifying. And this is Caitlin Foreman's. So now we're getting into, this is Caitlin May's color story. More bird stories. I was at the zoo. I can't remember what zoo. I think it was Denver. And we were on the like I don't remember what that's called. The you know, those things that glide, not a zip line, but like it's like a carousel. I really don't remember what it's called. Anyway, we were on it, where you ride over the top of the whole zoo, and we were so we were really high up, and here we're going over the duck pond, and I'm like, oh great. And of course my dumb self had flip-flops on at the freaking zoo, and a swan almost, it flew up so high I had to tuck my feet into the little basket because it was gonna take my friggin' shoe off. Like, a feather touched me, a feather. So this is Caitlin May's color story. I really like this one. I would have probably done the blurple shade on the bottom lash if I was doing this myself. Here, I'll show you what that one looks like. But yeah, this was nice. If you thought we were done talking about birds, you've got another thing coming. My friend in high school, a different one than had the car, she, I was always over at her house, and she had this brother, or she had a bird, I can't remember his name, but, and he was always in a cage, and she always made sure to keep him in a cage when I was over. because she knew I didn't like birds. But her older brother was a jerk. I don't know about this one. Her older brother was a jerk, and one day he let this silly bird out while I was there, and it chased me around the house. It was just like a parakeet, but like when you're already afraid of birds, they're disgusting feathers, they're beady little eyes, their beaks that could peck a hole through you. Like, a parakeet is like, I'm afraid of hummingbird and an albatross and everything in between. Like, I'm not kidding. I went through an aviary at a zoo one time because this kid that we took there wanted to do it, and like, you know, you're not supposed to be afraid of things in front of kids, right? So I went through with him and I cried the whole time. I was so scared. I'm like, can we go? Are we done here yet? No, I want to look at the birds. Like, that was awful. I don't know if this is patchy because I've like wiped off my look a million times by now, or if it's this shade. Probably the former. This is really pretty, like, and just put that James Holder on the bottom lash and call it good. But I still have these two shades left. When I first moved into my very first apartment by myself, I've lived with other people before, but this was like my apartment, just mine. I lived in the basement floor, and so my window showed the sidewalk outside, and there we go. There was a robin that would sit there and stare at me. He wouldn't let me leave the back door because he'd be standing there. He would look through my window, so I would have to have my curtains shut. Like, he was a jerk. This was Manuela's color story. This is Bree's color story. That kind of got out of control. I think this is the hardest color story so far. Messy. That help or make it worse? Let's just use my hair. This was Bree's color story. Oh, more birds. Okay, so I just moved to Fargo and I got my first client at my company, and I specifically, like, when you get hired, they ask you, like, are you okay with dogs? Are you okay with cats? Any other animals that you have a problem with? And naturally, I said, birds. I can't do birds, deathly afraid. And they're like, okay, no problem. We only have a couple clients with birds, so that shouldn't pose an issue at all. And they yeah, so I get started with this client, and all of a sudden I hear chirping. I'm like, what the heck? Like, I'm thinking maybe the window is open in the back bedroom, and then I just go about my business, right? Well, I go back to go to the bathroom, and someone was in the hall bathroom, so I used the master bathroom. And I'm walking, and there is a freaking cage with like 7 parakeets in it. I'm like, what happens if one of those MFers gets out? I'm like losing it. I'm like, I can't work here anymore. Like, nope. I'm done. Like, I gotta go. Sorry. And yeah, that was awful. And then so I stayed working there because they were like, okay, we'll close the door and we will keep the cover on. And that way, if they do get out, it won't be like an issue. They'll still be in the room or whatever. I'm like, okay, I'll freaking deal with it, right? Even though I don't want to. Well, so they did that for a long time, and then one day my client goes in the room and the birds all freaking fly out, and she's running around frantic trying to catch them, and I'm hiding in a corner trying not to pee myself. It was the worst. It was the absolute worst. So of course, the only 2 people to get all shimmer looks were me and Amy Melissa, and this is Amy Melissa's color story. I like all shimmer looks. She does not. I have a few more bird stories to say. They happened while I was at work, at various jobs. So one time I worked at this pizza restaurant, and I was working in the like afternoon lull period. So it was me and this other guy there, and he was on a delivery, so I was the only one working in the building. And one of the customers that was leaving let a bird in through the back entrance, and I didn't know it. So I'm taking an order, and this bird comes flying in front of me. I literally ran to the bathroom. I texted my coworker. I was like, I'm sorry, I was trying to take someone's order, so they're waiting at the counter when you get back, but there's a bird in here and I can't be bothered. And he ended up catching it in this big net that we had, and he released it outside. But the customer wasn't mad. It was kind of funny, actually, but I was terrified. So that was Vidya's look. Next we're gonna do May's. And while we do that, we can go over another one. I was working at Menards. I friggin' hated that job. I get PTSD when I walk in that store now. But anyway, I was working in the electrical department, which is in the front of the building in the corner. And I was just doing some, like hanging some lighting for our display. And all I can hear is chirp, 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 chirp. And I'm like, no, we can't be doing this. Not here, not now. And I get down off my ladder because I was like, I gotta find this bird, and then I gotta find someone to take care of it. So I found it. It was stuck underneath a shelf, and I got my manager, and he corralled it out. But man, like, I can't even function if there is a bird around. Like, if we're in a pet store and a bird gets out, I gotta leave. Like, it is so ridiculous. So this was my rendition of May's color story. Can you believe that she didn't like the way hers turned out? She didn't like that look. I thought it was beautiful. Now we're on to Lindsay's color story. But I just want to talk about the palettes. I think I'm done with the bird stories. I think there might be more, but let's just talk about the palette. So the first shade is really nice. It's like a gold green color, and I do really like that. 3 people got that in their random selection. The second shade is one of my favorites. 5 people got that one in their selection. It's like that green brown color, but it's like iridescent. Number 3, 5 people got that one too. I don't have really any thoughts on that particular shade. Number 4 is that pink green duochrome. 7 people got that, and actually I'm really close, I think, to hitting pan in that shade now. I do like it all over the lid or as a liner, but I really especially liked it as an inner corner for that one look. And then we had number 5, that light blue shimmer. It doesn't have any flips or anything, and 5 people got that, including myself. And I don't know about that one. It stains, but it's really pretty. 6 is that green shimmer, and that one is so messy. It is the most crumbliest shade. It's really pretty. 5 people got that one. The next shade is that blue, bluish green flip, little topper shade. And that one, 5 people had as well. I really like that one. It's another one of my favorites. Number 8, 5 people had that one, including myself. It's that blurple shade. Pretty nice for a liner, but I don't like it all over the lid. It's kind of dark. Number 9 is the blue shifty thing, and only 2 people got that, and that's one of my favorite shades in the whole palette. That's probably like a number 2. If I was going to rank them, I'd rank them. The second one is number 1. That one is number 2. Then the next one we're going to talk about, number 3, and then 4 would be that green blue one that we just talked about. But number 10 is the pink blue multichrome, and that one's just like a topper too, but it reminds me of Moon Magic from Rose Quartz. And then we've got the mattes. I have a lot to say about the mattes. So the first one is kind of cool. It's darkest shade in the mattes, and it is only it can be green or it can be blue depending on which shades you pair it with. It's pretty pigmented. I like that. Then we've got that mint shade, and that shade is just a dud in my opinion. You can see me applying it right now, and it's just like, what? Where is it? Where? Oh, there it is. There it is. I don't think it was necessary in this palette. The next 3 people had that shade. The next shade is that green matte, and it's stunning. It's really pretty. I like the way it looked on the one look that I did with it, because only one person had that shade. That was the rarest shade in this palette. It's crazy that no one got the same color story and only 2 people got all shimmers. The rest had at least one matte. That lime green shade is the least used shade with 1, and the most used shade is the next one, the yellow shade with 7, and that pink duochrome are tied with seven uses. So I liked that yellow shade. It blended everything out. It made for a nice thing to blend on top of. But my favorite matte shade was the last one, the olive color. And I thought I was going to hate that shade because it was like greeny yellow brown. But I actually really, really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed using it. So I ended up doing 2 looks with this palette in my original video, and then did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 more looks in this video, plus everyone else did a look that was different, so that's 13 more, plus the Colorful Indian on Instagram and here on YouTube, they also did a look and posted it after this collaboration inspired them to get more use out of that palette or to post it or whatever. And so there is tons of inspiration on this palette. I think it's a great palette if you like blues and greens. The only downsides are that one blue shade stains, which is easy if you use eye primer, colored eye primer, so it's no big deal. That green, sparkly green shade has fallout, but I'm sure if you use a glitter glue, it probably wouldn't be a problem. And that mint matte shade blends out into nothing, or it takes a lot of building up, and I don't think it was necessary. It's kind of redundant because you could have blended out that teal shade to be that like that. Anyway, those are my thoughts on this palette. Never pay full price for a palette. Always use a discount code, and that's what I did to get this palette. I used a discount code, and then it was on sale on top of that. Plus, I used a gift card that I got for Christmas. So, yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to talk about with this palette. We are almost done. I did my full look using this color story because it was the most inspiring. Caitlin House, her look was just phenomenal. I can't pick a favorite look out of everyone's who did this, but this color story was just very inspiring to me. So that's why I'm finishing on that one. I guess I also wanted to say sorry for the jump cuts and the speed ups, but this was a hour-long video that I pared down to 28 minutes. So just bear with me. I was trying to get it all in one, but I just thought it would be interesting to do this for more inspo for myself, to get use out of this palette, and just to prove that all of our preferences are completely different from each other. And I think that's really cool. Finishing up here, I just want to thank everyone who joined in on this. We'll probably be doing more palette bingos later on, so I will be sure to make note of that in my stories. But with that being said, we will catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.